If you're thinking about making a move to the Austin area with a bigger budget, most people focus on either the downtown views or the lake life. But what they often don't think about is that they're not just choosing a home, they're choosing a daily lifestyle. In this video, I'm going to compare where your money really goes when it comes to a downtown condo with amazing views or a luxurious lakeside or near the lake estate. And then at the end, we're going to tour this $4.65 million condo listing in downtown Austin so you can see what Austin luxury downtown really looks like. Don't decide until you see the trade-offs that actually matter day to day. Here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to break it into 5 different sections: lifestyle, convenience, privacy, ongoing costs, and resale. And I'll keep it honest because both options could be great. It just depends on how you want to live your life here in Austin. Then we'll do the tour of the condo so that you can see what your budget really gets you in downtown Austin. So what are you really buying into? Well, downtown, you're gonna have walkability, you're gonna have really easy date nights, you're gonna have all the entertainment that Austin has to offer, you're gonna have conveniences like package services at the front desk, concierge style services that rival those at a hotel, easy access to things like coffee, dinner, groceries, and of course the awesome skyline views here in Austin. And out at the lake, you're gonna get things like gated communities potentially, you're gonna have sunset views over the water, you're gonna have lots more space, you're gonna have privacy, seclusion, a backyard, potentially your own pool if you buy a home with one or put one in. So it's just a completely different dynamic. And in the condo tour later, I'll show you how the finishes and the conveniences can make living in downtown Austin feel like you're living at a resort. So let's dive into what you get for the money. So downtown, you're gonna have the conveniences, like I said, like the concierge, the lobby downstairs, potentially valet parking, but you're also going to not have to worry so much about things like maintenance. A lot of these downtown condos have HOAs, they have insurance policies that cover the exterior of the unit, the exterior of the building, so you're not gonna be bogged down with honeydew projects, so to say. You're gonna have security and controlled access, prime location, amazing views, and it's really gonna be a lock and leave lifestyle, which is great for people that are living here part-time or do a lot of traveling. And then out by the lake, you're gonna have much larger lots. You're gonna have that space that we talked about, both indoor and outdoor. Your money's gonna go a lot farther so far as square footage and acreage goes. You're gonna have much more privacy. You're not gonna feel like you're, right in the heart of the hustle and bustle all the time. And you're often gonna have the ability to customize things like the interior and the exterior, In a condo, you can't redo the landscaping. You can't put in a pool. You might have to get permission from the HOA if you wanna make any changes to the interior of your unit, replace the light fixtures, things like that. So out by the lake, you're gonna have much more customization. And typically there, you're gonna have an opportunity to do a lot more hosting. You might have many more extra guest bedrooms. You might even have a guest house that you're just not gonna find in a downtown condo. So here's what close actually means in Austin. Here you have downtown where you're in the heart of the city core and you have the lake life out here. Notice the main thoroughfares into Austin and out towards the airport to the east when you're coming in from the lake. It's definitely something I consider with all of my clients, what their day-to-day looks like, but also what their weekly and monthly travel plans look like. Because that commute from the lake life out to the airport or into downtown can actually bottleneck pretty bad because there's only so many pathways that you can take. And I put out new videos every single week, so if this is up your alley, if you're in the planning phase, don't hesitate to click that subscribe button so that you can stay in the know. So next, let's talk about your day-to-day, your Tuesday, not your vacation, not your weekends, but what really matters. So when you're living downtown, your typical Tuesday, you can wake up in the morning, you can walk out your front door, you can go grab a cup of coffee. If you need to get some groceries for the day, you can go to a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods, and you don't really have to get in your car, which is really, really nice and really convenient. You're gonna have super easy date nights. There's tons of fantastic restaurants in downtown Austin. And if you have the right location and the right condo, you can step out your front door and you can be there in no time flat. You can walk there. Again, we're talking about avoiding driving, right? Austin, when it comes to walkability, you don't have a lot of options, and downtown is one of the few really good options when it comes to a walkable lifestyle. So there's less commute times when it comes to date nights, conveniences, and just your daily errands. That being said, you're gonna definitely experience more vertical living, so to say. Obviously, when you're in a downtown condo, you're gonna be in a sky rise, you're gonna be packed in, you're gonna be in the center of everything, and that's great for some people, and it might not be great for everybody. But I say that to say this, you're gonna have to deal with the front desk, you're gonna have to deal with elevators, you're gonna have to deal with a parking garage or a valet. So just something to keep in mind that I always go over with my clients. So let's switch gears to a random Tuesday out by the lake. You're gonna have a lot more driving and commute time for things like errands, groceries, going to grab coffee. You're not just gonna be able to step out your front door, especially if you're in a gated community or a neighborhood, and just instantly be right there in the heart of everything. What you will have is a much more home-centered lifestyle. And what I mean by that is, you're gonna have potentially an outdoor kitchen, you're gonna have potentially a pool, you're gonna have space where you're gonna enjoy your time at home, potentially a lot more, right? You're gonna spend a lot more time in your house, and the things that you're going to enjoy are going to be different than the things you enjoy downtown. You're gonna enjoy the quiet, the peace, the seclusion, and everything that comes along with being out by the lake. It's gonna potentially be a lot easier if you have kids, if you have pets, you have a dog, you're gonna need a private yard, or if you're downtown, you're gonna have to go to a dog park to get your dog some exercise. And it's gonna be much easier to host guests for the holidays if you have that extra space and those extra rooms out by the lake. Now, a little bit of a con, at least for some people, unless you're actually enjoy dealing with these things, or you're at least willing to do them, you're gonna be dealing with a little bit more maintenance of homeownership when it comes to a house. So think about your day-to-day life and how these types of things fit in. The gym, groceries, date night. How do you get your food? Do you do a lot of delivery? What's your dog routine? Do you host a lot of guests? What are your weekend plans? So the next thing I want to dive into is the hidden costs that people often forget to actually build into the equation when they're making a move. In a condo, you're going to really want to review with your agent, the HOA stipulations, the rules, the guidelines, and how much it costs, what the HOA fees cover. What's the parking and the storage look like? If you have a lot of extra belongings, if you have a bike, if you have a scooter, where are you gonna keep it? You don't have a garage like you do at a typical house. And what are the rules for the entire building? What do hosting guests look like? What about pets? Can you do a short-term rental? And what do move-in logistics look like? Do they have a loading dock? Do they have a freight elevator? And then you've got to think about noise and privacy. In a condo, you might have a big footprint if you end up in a place like this, but you've still got some shared walls. You're still living in the same building with multiple other people. And there's people coming and going. Downstairs in this unit, there's a restaurant, there's a spa, there's a coffee shop. So it's just things to think about. Do you want that quiet privacy that a downtown condo might not provide? And then what are the crowds gonna look like on the weekends? During ACL, during South by Southwest, your typical Saturday and Sunday. Austin gets packed downtown because there's always something going on. Now let's jump over to the lake life, right? You're gonna have higher expenses when it comes to insurance if you're right on the water. If you have a boat slip, if you have a guest home, those are all things that you need to insure, all things you have to pay taxes on. And then you need to budget for expenses for exterior maintenance like roof, HVAC systems, even interior systems like the plumbing. Those are things that you're responsible for as a homeowner. In juxtaposition, in a condo, most of those things are covered. And then you might want to make sure that you have a savings if you're considering one of the luxury homes out by the lake, but in one of the older pockets, because there's going to be maintenance surprises. There's going to be systems that might fail that you need to update, or you need to upgrade, or simply just make repairs. All right, so now let's talk about liquidity and resale. Who buys which type of property? Both options can resell really, really well. They're obviously desirable for a reason, but the buyer pool can differ considerably from property to property. With a downtown condo, your buyer is probably going to be an executive, somebody who lives in Austin part-time, maybe an investor that just wants it as a vacation home, people that want lock and leave lifestyle, or maybe people downsizing that just, want something that's easier to maintain and a less stressful lifestyle. Out by the lake, your buyer pool is going to look a little bit different, right? You're going to be mostly appealing to people with families or planning on having a family, people that are looking for some of the greatest schools in the area. The people that move out to the lake are really in it for the long haul. So they're looking for longevity. They're probably going to put time, effort, money into making the house their own, making the property their own. People put in outdoor kitchens, like I mentioned earlier, people put in a pool. That's not something that you do and then typically sell a couple years later. It's people that ultimately just want space and privacy and a great lifestyle. Your future buyer, if and when you sell, is going to prioritize the exact same things that you prioritize when you bought. So it doesn't really matter, one's not better than the other. One's not worse than the other. It's just, do you want to do things to the house? Do you want to appeal to a buyer pool that prioritizes proximity, entertainment, or somebody that prioritizes, that space and privacy that we talked about? So now that you've got your checklist of what lake life looks like, what downtown life looks like here in Austin, let's put it to the real world test and take a tour of this condo that I'm in right now. We're on Riverside between 35 and Mopac. We are right next to Lady Bird Lake. This is a $4.65 million condo listing here in the heart of the city. Let's go check it out. All right, so let's start the tour in my favorite place in just about any property or home, and that is the kitchen. I love to cook, so this is right up my alley. You'll see here, you've got a hidden refrigerator. You've got the freezer drawer below. This is not typical of a downtown condo. You've got to spend a little bit of extra money. You're going to pay for it to get an entertainment kitchen like this. I mean, look at this oven. Look at this awesome countertop. I mean, you've got the kitchen island. There's a wine fridge hidden down here. This is, again, very unique. Some of the condos that are at a lower price point are going to feel a little bit more condensed, so to say. The kitchen might kind of be tucked away in a corner, but this place is absolutely phenomenal for entertaining. You've got the full kitchen, you've got the island, you've got plenty of space all over, and this is just something that you don't get in every single condo downtown. But it's definitely something that you want to consider, right? What does your day-to-day look like? Do you host guests very often? If you host a lot of people, you're going to need a condo like this, or the lake life might be a better choice. So the next area I want to show you ties into that hosting and entertaining vibe that we're going for here in this condo in particular. Standing in the living room, over here, you've got the panoramic views, you've got the skyline behind us, but here's the living room. And as you'll see, it's tied directly into this awesome kitchen. So, you've got your guests, you're hosting, you're having dinner, you're having a dinner party, whatever it is you might be doing. You've got this awesome giant seating area on the kitchen island. You've got this bar top, and you can be entertaining guests here in the living room, which is really, really cool. You don't find that entertainment vibe, that entertainment lifestyle in every condo downtown. Some of them are going to be a little bit smaller. They're not going to have as open of a space for entertainment. They're going to be more so a place where you rest your head, but you actually live your entertaining part of your life outside of the condo. This one gives you a little bit of both. And you've even got a little breakfast nook right here. I mean, this place is very, very unique. This is one of a kind, and you don't find this very often. So we'll get to the patio and the view here in just a second, but I'm walking out of the kitchen. I'm walking out of the living room right now. You've got that awesome kitchen island right behind me, and I'm gonna go take a look at the primary suite. This is, really, again, where you're gonna spend your evenings, where you're gonna spend the end of your days. You wanna make sure you actually enjoy it. So as I walk around the corner here, you can see this awesome bedroom behind me, floor to ceiling windows, awesome view the whole way around throughout the whole house. And then you've got the primary suite, and you've even got like a little kind of sitting nook area right here. Chill out, read some books, do all the fun stuff that people do. And then you walk into the primary bathroom, which I absolutely love. That's just right around the corner. It's an en-suite bathroom, and quick teaser, giant walk-in closet behind me. But as you get into the bathroom, I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, you're gonna see me in the mirror here as I spin around, but it's got a backlit mirror. It's got a tub for soaking right behind me. It's got the toilet room, and it's got the shower. So, I mean, this is really upscale life. And not too often do you get a walk-in closet this size in a condo in downtown Austin. So next, let's check out the guest rooms, right? So let me back up a little bit. Behind me, both of the bedrooms have a full bath attached in suite, which is really awesome. Again, you don't always get that ability to host guests in a downtown condo, but with this one in particular, it does offer that. You've got in-suite bathrooms in both the guest rooms. You've got floor-to-ceiling windows, which is really, really cool. You've got tons of natural light. There's a walk-in closet here on the side, and then you go around the corner and you're in the next bedroom. Again, behind me, you'll see in-suite bathroom. Right here, we've got a walk-in closet, and back to it. We've got the floor-to-ceiling windows, just really, really cool. to be able to have that ability to have overnight guests, have a private place for them to stay. And again, check out this view. And right below me, I'll do the camera up, that's a golf course, which is absolutely insane. It's not a full 18 holes by any means, but where do you find a golf course right in the heart of downtown? So I know the lighting's not great right here, but I have to show you guys. This is your front door to your condo. It is literally, you've got your own elevator that goes up from the lobby directly to your house. You just open the elevator doors, they open for you rather, and you walk in to your condo. This is really, really cool. All right, it's a little bit windy out here, but this is what everybody came to see. This is what people buy into when they're buying a condo downtown. I mean, check out this view behind me. Unobstructed view, panoramic, Lady Bird Lake, downtown Austin. And the cool part about this unit in particular, in this listing, is it's never going to be obstructed. You're always going to have that amazing view of downtown because nobody can build anything in the lake and you're right next door to the lake. So it's always gonna be like this. They're not gonna pop up a condo right next door to where you're staring out your living room window into somebody else's kitchen. It's always gonna be like this. And I mean, this is just the creme de la creme of Austin views. I mean, this is absolutely awesome. I know I'm going out of frame a little bit, but check that out. I mean, I've lived in Austin my whole life, and I don't think that I've ever seen a view quite like this. So I know this decision can feel a little bit weird because you're not just choosing a property or a home, you're choosing what you want your life to look like here in Austin. So it can be a little bit overwhelming. This is literally what I do day in and day out. So if you want a little bit of guidance, want to talk strategy, maybe even narrow in on 2 or 3 different areas across town so you can see what fits and what doesn't, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. By the way, if you're new to the channel, my name's Justin Rossi. I'm a lifelong Austin native and a local real estate expert. And this is what I do, right? I help people relocate to the city of Austin. And I see this exact same question, kind of the lake life versus Austin luxury, pretty often, which is why I decided to make this video. Ultimately, my goal and my job is to make sure that your transition, your move, your relocation is as stress-free and smooth as possible.